Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we have the first ever motorcycle we've done, and we're doing a full Kenwood upgrade. Customer says his bike doesn't sound good. You got your speakers right there, you got your information center there, and there we have a beautiful bike. It's 2014 Street Glide, I do believe, and we're going to make it sound a whole lot better. So stick around, be right back. Alright, so I was just showing, we got this 2014 Street Glide here that is in desperate need of some much better sounds. So we have the Kenwood P-HD1F. So it's got the two speakers for the front fairing, the amplifier, and all the wiring. It's a full plug-and-play kit. So here you have the amp and the wiring. You got your main power. Tucked in here, you have an incredibly small, little tiny amp. And it just kind of moves the stuff to the side so I can get everything out and show you. There we go. There it is. Just a small, little tiny amp. It's actually their XM160-2 2-channel amp, and it comes with the bracket and everything. We'll get more into that later as we start doing the install, show you how it goes in. Tuck that to the side for now, and then we have the speakers. They're the 6.5-inch two-ways, the XM65F. So, for now, we're going to start taking this thing apart. We got to take the seat off, and then we got to take the front of the fairing apart so we can get to all the wiring that's in behind here. But first, we need to protect that front fender. So stick around, be right back. Alright, so we got the front fender covered, and now we're getting ready to take the battery, disconnecting it. And this cover here comes out with two 40mm Torx bits. And then it just kind of slides over the front of your bracket there, which then reveals the power wire for the battery. So we're going to disconnect that, which will take all the power out of the system, and then we can get ready to take the fairing apart. So we're going to do that. Be right back. Alright, so as we take this fairing apart, you can see windshield's gone. This center bolt, keep track of where it is. It is the longest bolt of the three that come out. What I like to do, I'll take this one out and then the other outside one. Both are under some kind of tension, so when it comes out it does kind of spring forward some, and then you just have your center one here left, which, like I said, it's the longest bolt, but then you can just kind of take it out and things aren't going to just fall all over the place. So now we have a whole lot more screws to take out. We got to take out these Torx, uncover here, the other side, and then pop everything apart. And we're using a 27 Torx bit right there. Don't know how well you guys can read that, but it's a number 27 anyway. So we're going to start popping out more screws for this fairing, and then we'll show you what it looks like inside. So stick around. Alright, that actually came off a whole lot better than I was expecting. But you got to take note of a couple bolts. You have this one, and you have this one. Obviously two different lengths, two different spots. The long one goes on the outside of the fairing, while the smaller one goes down more to the inside. So I'll show you. Up here, this one here, that was the longest one. And this one here down closer to your forks, that was the shorter bolt. Same with the other side. So when you go to put it back together, make sure they go in the same spot. Now, this is what we have. All kinds of fun stuff. That was our connector for our headlight. Somebody put a nice LED in there. So now we got to move stuff around to make room for our amplifier and speakers. So we're going to start getting ready to take these speakers out, because they made one nice large little pocket right there for our speakers. So let's get them apart, get the speakers changed out, and then we'll focus on the amp. So stick around, here we go. Alright, so here we are. We have the speaker pod out of our Harley. And I think whoever at Harley designed it kind of used up every bolt they had. It's kind of hard to show you on the bike. But you have these two bolts here at the top that go to where the amp rack is. You have these three at the bottom that are down underneath some brackets just above where your blinkers would be. And then you had three going the whole way around. And so there's a lot of screws holding this 2-pound piece of plastic in there. But it wasn't going to rattle. So we popped out the screws here. They're T25 Torx. And that lets us get access to the back of the speakers. Which now we can just pop off the wiring. Just like that. That is Harley's wonderful speaker, which had issues to start with. So I guess it's a good thing we're replacing these. So now we have our Kenwoods. These are supposed to be a direct replacement. We'll try that, just like that. Those are going to look so much better behind the hidden grill. They'll sound better though. Here's a grill here. Just like that. There's a Kenwood Exelon logo on it, which will go right like that, and that'll look really sharp in the fairing. So before we mount that, this does go right to the fairing. I'll show you that here in a minute. We're going to put some screws back in, get this hooked up, and go from there. So stick around, be right back. Now one thing I will show before I put this in, you have these terminals. One is a little bit bigger than the other, and it matches up with the factory plugs. So you can't get them backwards or hook them up wrong. One will fit, the other won't. So if you have one that doesn't fit quite right, well, you got it on the wrong terminal. So now you just pop these back in here, and that speaker is upgraded. So now, like I said, we're going to go put the grill back in the fairing, pop this back in, and start on the other side. Now one thing I like about these speakers, they do have foam backing on the back of the speaker itself. That helps cut down on a ton of rattles. I do it a lot with the car audio, and it works wonderful. It gives a much cleaner, less rattle sound. I know that kind of sounds funny, but it just helps keep the speaker from rattling on either the plastic or on the metal, and helps just kind of deaden any other rattles that could happen in that area. So now that's mounted up, let's go mount up our grill and put this back in. Stick around. Alright, so here we are. We're at the fairing. I've given a quick wipe down around the edge of it. When we put it in, we gotta make sure that's upright. So we'll just put it like that. You can see how it just tucks right in there. Ever so nice. So I'm going to finish that off, show you what it looks like, and be right back. Alright, so we got that grill in. Looks a lot better. It's also a lot... It doesn't filter out as much sound. Like the factory, it had nice grill cloth, but it also kind of blocked out a lot of the sound. This one here, it's all metal and very transparent. Now, as for the screws I was talking about for the speaker pod that goes here, you have two up here. These are the ones on the amp rack. Then you have these three down here. They come through from the other side, which comes up through here. So don't be afraid to cut a harness, pull a harness, and then you have your three mounts for the rest of it. So we're going to go ahead, put it back in, and start on that side. So stick around, here we go. Alright, so there is speaker number 1 installed, hooked up. We got the pod back in. Wiring's connected again. Don't forget your cigarette lighter. Or I guess nowadays it would just be called your power plug. Everything's all connected. Those screws are back in. And so are these 3 bolts, which, like I was saying, it's really hard to get to, but they work. And those ones are 7/16. So now we're going to start getting ready to go to the other side and to get that all hooked up. And someone in here before put a antenna. I can't see that being factory, but you never know, right? So we're going to move to the other side and get that going. So stick around and we'll move on to the amp here shortly. Alright, so we now have 2 Kenwood sets of speakers in this. Or 2 Kenwood speakers. Everything's all back together. We still have to get this harness out of the way, but we've got a lot of clearing to do here to make room for our amp. Now those speakers we just put in, they're a 2 ohm speaker. So if you're going to just replace any speakers, make sure they're 2 ohm to match what this factory is. But they have a 92 dB sensitivity, so they should put out some pretty good sound for the rider. And they're rated at 150 RMS, 300 watts max. And have a frequency range of 40 to 25 kilohertz. So they're going to play all the good music, good sound, and throw it right at the driver and make it sound really nice. So now, one last look at that Kenwood X-Long grill. And now we turn around and get the amp ready. So I'm going to go grab that. You stay tuned. And go hit that subscribe button for a minute. See if we can't get up to 1,000 here by the end of the year. That'd be awesome. And let me know what you think of this install. Let me know if it's helped you out, if it's something you've done or thinking about, and this helps you figure it out. So you stick around, hit the subscribe button, and I'm going to keep going. Alright, so as you've been watching, we've been working on this 2014 Harley Street Glide, and now we're into hooking up the amplifier. Now, this one here, this is what they consider to be the amp rack, and this is where the amp is going. However, before we can do that, we do have to mount this bracket. Now, this is the one the amp itself is on when I open up the package. And they have just some really wicked strong Velcro. You may need a panel tool to pry the amp off because it sticks so good. However, that's great. And that's just a small little tiny, I mean, it's smaller than my handprint. And after I just talked about that Velcro sticking, there we go. Okay. Now this amp, it's 80 watts RMS by 2 at 2 ohms, which will match up nicely to our speakers. But this amplifier rack here is going to magically find its way right there. But first, before I can do that, we got these 4 screws to take out. So I'm going to get them taken out, get the amp rack mounted, and then see if we can't get the amp in there. So stick around. Alright, so you just saw me mount this plate right here using those factory screws. So now we are on to hooking up the speaker wires, which are these ones. Now, if you're like me, I like things colored, labeled, and I just see different colors. But if you look on this side here, you have the layout of how it goes. So the right side speakers, according to that drawing, will be the blue and black. So those two are going to come over this way. Once I get untangled, going to come down here to the brake side, and that's your input, and then that's going to your speakers, at which point we have these. The green one goes to our brake side, yellow one goes to the clutch side. So I'm going to start getting them cleaned up and get them mounted in there. So stick around. Alright, so we got some of the wiring done. As you can see, we have the green one here, which is going over. It's going to the input, or from the radio out to the input of the speaker. So that becomes the input to our amplifier here. We have this other one right here, which is, again, the input for that speaker. And then we have the outputs of the amplifier. We gone and cleaned up the wiring so it looks half decent. And then they just go to the input of the speakers. Just like that. Nice plug and play. And then we got our factory antenna right up there. Luckily it was stuck with the Velcro. That's stuck with Velcro, so it's back in there nicely. We taped up some of the power wire here so it looks kind of like the rest of it. So all we have left now, run the power to the battery, get that looking good, get everything zip tied, test it, and put it back together. So stick around, we're going to go do that. Alright, so we just finished running the power wire, and as you saw, we started running some of this wiring. So the green one goes to your throttle side. The blue-black goes to that same speaker. You can see the wiring right there. Which then, this yellow one goes to the clutch side, and the only one left, yeah, the brown and black, they go to the clutch side as well. So we've got the power wire run. I've got it all mapped out here, and what we've done is we're going under the gas tank instead of up over, and you can see it comes along there, blends right in with all the factory wiring, goes down with the factory channels, and then back here to where we're going to hook it up to the battery. And then we can hear what it's going to sound like. Make sure it sounds decent. And the best part is, we have right there, we have our gain. So we can adjust it very easily without taking anything apart or changing anything again. So we're going to go get that done. We're going to hook up the power. We're going to turn things on and see if we have music. because everything else is hooked up. All we have left to do is clean up a lot of extra dirty, messy looking wires. Kind of like that one, and you get the idea. So let's get some power going, and then get some music going. So stick around. Alright, so here we are. We are finished with the install. We just still have to clean up the wiring. But there's your Kenwood, and overall, it is a whole lot louder and cleaner sounding than what was there. Now we just have to clean up that. Try and make it look somewhat presentable. Cover up some of these wires, clean them up, tuck them in, out of the way, relocate our antenna for here. We got this radio antenna, we got to redo those, and a whole bunch of zip ties to hold everything in there. So you stick around, watch me work, hit that subscribe button, and here we go. Alright, so as you've just saw, we finished up the wiring, and it looks much better than it did. All the wires are tucked out of the way, cleaned up, made it look almost as if it was factory. Now, the one thing I will say is the GPS antenna, which was here, is now relocated up here. There's a nice little flat spot for it to go. You tuck it in there. I was able to move some wires so it's as open on the top as possible, but that's where it goes. So that's that. It works, and we are ready to put it back together and kick it out of here and let the customer come enjoy it. Let them have a few more rides over the summer, spring, before the snow flies. We all hate to say it, but it's coming. So I'm going to throw the front cover back on and go from there. So stick around, show you what it looks like when we're completely done. Alright, so there's the end of that Harley-Davidson stereo. I'm quite happy with it. It sounds a lot better than it did. A whole lot better on the highs, mid-range, where the other one just sounded really muffled. And the good part about this one, they can, if the customer chooses, he can turn around and add more. There's provisions for 2-3 amps. Get some speakers put in the saddlebag lids, put some subs in there. He's going to have himself a killer little system. So enjoy the pictures. If you like it, let me know. If you see something that I should have done different, let me know as well. I'm always looking for feedback. Let me know if you wanted to see more of it. I do have some pictures I'm going to be loading up here for you to look at. And in the meantime, instead of keeping it loud, staying warm, keep that throttle twisted and keep it between the lines and stay warm. So, till next time, here we go.